begin, so I thought I would just start from the beginning as far as how my paths crossed with Father Ephrem. It actually started, even though I didn't know him, but it started back when I was in high school, which I'm old, and I'm all right with that. In the early 80s, I was born and raised, well, Noah's Ordo, but I was born in 62, so it was probably before all the big changes occurred. But it was in high school I noticed. I was at a Mass here in Phoenix on Sunday night. It was the teen Mass. And I noticed all this stuff going on. And at that time, sadly, I had other things on my mind than being as religious as I should. But I did notice that there was a lot of frolicking going on, and this priest would invite, all kinds of people up to the altar right after this so-called consecration and such. And I thought this was unusual. And I thought to myself, is this what St. Thomas Aquinas did on Sunday? Is this the type of service he went to? So it got me to thinking it was a seed that was planted, because it just didn't seem right to me. Well, many years went by. It was about 10, actually, and I started to fall away from the church, and I didn't have any guilt about it until I had to throw myself back into it. My prayers were answered for a career that I had asked and prayed for, and I realized shortly after that it wasn't me. There was something very empty about it. I didn't know what. The only thing I knew about the traditional Mass at that time was said in Latin, so I just thought it was one and the same. But it was shortly after I tried to throw myself back into it. I went to my mom's house and said, let's go to church Sunday. I have the day off, and we'll go to breakfast. And she said, well, I don't go to Our Lady of the Valley anymore. I go, well, where do you go? We'll go there. And she goes, well, I go to there's a visiting priest from Milwaukee that comes here. And I said, well, she said, it's because it's not a true Mass anymore. And at that time, all of these lights came on, because I had these same questions. I didn't know what the answer was. But it was only a few weeks after that, my dad died, and he had been going to this traditional priest. It's Father Bernard, some of you may know him in Milwaukee. And I went to that Mass, and it was a Requiem. That was the first time I've ever seen a Latin Mass, and I knew at that time, I saw the power and God's might right there in this funeral home, because they couldn't do it in the church. So I knew at that time this was the Catholicism I would have been searching for, and didn't know it. Well, I was kind of told that, I live in Phoenix. When I told him I lived in Phoenix, and there's not really a traditional church there. Something told me, I find that hard to believe, besides, Phoenix maybe he's mistaken, doesn't know Phoenix. And so my mom and I looked in the phone book, and we found Our Lady of Mount Carmel, 2 of them, one in Tempe, the real one on 21st Place. So we set up one morning. It was a weekday Mass. I had the weekdays off then, and we're driving. We're looking for this church, and maybe check on the address. I don't see any church here. We realize we have the address right. It's like, well, that's it. It's a 2-story. I guess this is it. So we went in, and again, very humble church. And a few moments later, a very pious-looking priest walked out from the side wearing a beretta, something I've never seen before, and I knew that there is indeed a true Mass here in Phoenix, most true. And Father Ephrem and I've been through a lot with him from my turmoil with the city some time ago, my new career as a teacher, my marriage, and my child, Andrew, and Father Ephrem has been there for all of that. And I guess I got 2 things out of this deal. One was the true faith, salvation, and like many of you, I think, I also got a very good friend. So Father Ephrem, thank you.